Good afternoon. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Pagani Design PD-1695. This watch is available from Pagani Design official store on AliExpress for €141. There is an AliExpress sale event starting on the 23rd of August, running until the 27th of August inclusive, and the €141 price will be discounted during the sale event, so an excellent time to purchase this piece. So firstly, let's look at the box that the watch comes in, and then I'll talk you through the other items one gets with the piece. So as you can see, this is the watch box that the PD-1695 comes in, and I'm pleased to report it is the premium version of the Pagani Design watch box, rather than the standard black cardboard watch box that their watches usually come in. Nicely executed, good build quality, and I think it's a definite improvement on the standard cardboard watch box, so I like it. With regards to the other items, this is the microfiber polishing cloth, and as you can see it's branded with Pagani Design. I always think it's a nice touch to get a branded microfiber polishing cloth, irrespective of the price point of a piece. This is the plastic guarantee card, and I'm pleased to report that the PD-1695 is covered by a 12-month international guarantee, which is very reassuring. This is the owner's instruction manual. It is basic, although it does suffice with diagrams and instructions in English. It details the operation of the movement used, which is the Seiko NH35A automatic. And lastly, this is the plastic tag that comes with the watch. So, with regards to the specifications of the piece, this is the Pagani Design PD-1695. The watch is clearly an homage to the Seiko Tuna, and it does that very well because it has very similar case proportions. 47.3mm at the widest point of the case. We have a lug to lug measurement of 47mm, and we have a lug width of 22mm. The thickness is 15mm, including the domed sapphire crystal. Now the domed sapphire crystal lacks AR coating, and that is a negative, so as you can see there is a lot of glare and it is highly reflective due to the silver applied indices and silver hands, so that's something to bear in mind if you like watches with AR coating. The heft of the piece is 211 grams with all the links in the bracelet, so it is an incredibly heavy piece, and it also has tremendous wrist presence due to the 47.3mm case diameter. The 2-button push flip block clasp is signed with the Pagani Design emblem, as you can see. Now, one minor criticism is the lack of micro adjustment holes. There are only 3 micro adjustment holes, and as you'll know from my previous reviews, I'm often critical of this. I personally prefer to see 4 or 5 micro adjustment holes in a clasp, and that allows for more adjustment, more fine tuning of the length of the bracelet. The ceramic bezel insert is very well executed, and it complements the blue sunburst style. I like the placement of the date complication at 3 o'clock. The dial is clearly legible. It follows the same dial layout as the Seiko Tuna, which this is an homage to, and it has similar style hands to the Seiko Tuna. Pagani Design have done a good job with the blue sunburst style and the applied indices. Very nicely finished, very well executed. The quality of the finishing of the ceramic bezel insert is also done to a high standard. The infilling of the white paint on the Arabic numerals and the minute ticks is done very well, no faults whatsoever. I like the domed sapphire crystal, nice characteristic distortion with it, as you can see, and it does add interest to the piece. So let's test the bezel action. 120 click unidirectional bezel, as one would expect. Nice light bezel action, although it doesn't feel even all the way through the 360 degrees of rotation. It feels tight, then loose, then tight again. So the resistance varies from light resistance in rotation to heavier resistance. It's not consistent all the way through the 360 degrees. But however, on a positive note, there is no lateral side-to-side play whatsoever, so that is good. Now, a negative is there is some back play, which I'll demonstrate, as you can see. And that back play exists all the way around the bezel, regardless of the position of the triangle. As you can see, we have significant back play in all positions. So that is a disappointment, and it's an area I would like to see Pagani Design improve upon, reducing the back play in the bezel. So it's disappointing because there is no lateral side-to-side play, which is good, but unfortunately there is some back play. So I'll just check the alignment. Now, I'm pleased to report that the alignment of the triangle on the ceramic bezel insert and the indices on the dial is correct. So there is no alignment issue and there is no lateral side-to-side play issue. It really is just the back play they need to resolve and improve upon. So let's test the crown action. Now this piece is unusual in that it has 300 meters of water resistance, and that really does mark a change for Pagani design, because often their pieces such as the PD-1695 only have 100 meters of water resistance due to using a screw down exhibition case back, which doesn't provide the same level of hermetic seal as a solid stainless steel case back which this piece uses. So the crown is coin edge finished, solid 316L grade stainless steel, signed with the Pagani design emblem to a high standard, and it provides an effective hermetic seal to 300 meters as I've discussed. Absolutely silky smooth. I'm actually very impressed with it. It feels very good, very similar to the latest version PD-1695, which you may be familiar with. Pagani designs deserve full credit because they are capable of producing a very well executed crown. The screw down crown, the thread action, the interface between the internal thread and the external thread of the crown chip is very good meshing, very smooth thread action. So in the first position it is the manual wind position, and one can manually wind the movement to top up the power reserve to its maximum 40 hours. First click is the quick set date complication, and rotating the crown anti-clockwise, as you can see, advances the date complication using the quick set, and that works as one would expect. Pulling the crown out to the final position is the time setting position, and it's silky smooth as one would expect with the Seiko NH35A, which is made in Japan. It's an absolute pleasure to use the NH35A, reliable, well proven workhorse movement, and the correct choice for this piece, which is an homage to the Seiko Tuna. So I'll just screw it back down and test the interface of the threads. Absolutely silky smooth, very good pickup. This is one of the better crown actions from Pagani design. It feels very similar to the PD-1695. They've got the crown action done very well on this PD-1695. Now with regards to the case back, as I've discussed, this is solid stainless steel. Now usually with Pagani design watches such as the PD-1695, they use screw-down exhibition case backs which are glazed with mineral crystal. Now, yes, it's nice to see the movements in the watch, but the disadvantage of using an exhibition case back with mineral crystal is there is an extra O-ring needed to seal the mineral crystal to the stainless steel screw-down case back, and that extra hermetic seal means that it's more vulnerable to leaking, and therefore it only has 100 meters of water resistance. It's not as water resistant as a solid 316L grade stainless steel case back like this one. So this one provides a superior hermetic seal of 300 meters, and that really is impressive, and I think it's a good positive direction that Pagani design are going in, making 300 meter water resistant pieces rather than only 100 meters. As you can see, it's nicely engraved, and it's finished to a good standard. The mirror polishing is good, and the brushed satin finishing is good. Low profile screw down solid stainless steel case back, and they deserve full credit because it is very well made. The solid end links are a good tight fit to the case, and they are finished to a good standard. And the finishing of the case throughout is good. Brushed satin finishing to the circumference of the case, and as you can see it follows the same case profile as the Seiko Tuna, which this is an homage to. So the shroud to the case is removable using these hex screws, as you can see. So it's exactly the same case design as the Seiko Tuna, a very good homage to it. Even the bezel design with the teeth are very similar to the Seiko Tuna. So nicely finished and also very aesthetically pleasing. So I'll give you a wrist shot and you can see how it fits on my 8-inch wrist. Now I haven't sized the bracelet, I've simply taken the watch out of the watch box, and I'm pleased to report that it does fit my 8-inch wrist with no problems whatsoever. As you can see, I can actually slide two fingers underneath the bracelet and clasp at all times. Usually I can only slide my index finger underneath a bracelet when it's sized correctly. So this will have no difficulty fitting your wrist size regardless of how large it is. I have an 8-inch wrist and I can easily fit it. If you have a 6 to 7-inch wrist, you'll be removing 6 links from this bracelet to get the correct fit. So it's good that they have included enough links for all wrist sizes. So with regards to the fit and the comfort level, it is a top heavy piece due to the 47.3mm outer diameter at the widest point of the case. However, 47mm lug to lug measurement is a good measurement for the majority of wrist sizes. If you are a collector with a 6 to 7-inch wrist, you may find that this is too large with too much wrist presence, but if you're a collector with a larger wrist of 7 to 8 inches, you may find the 47mm to be comfortable. It is a snug fit, it wraps around the wrist very well. The 22mm lug width is wide, and therefore the large bracelet does balance the large head of the piece. However, the negative is it is an incredibly heavy piece with all the links in the bracelet. 211 grams is significant heft. The problem with a watch that is in excess of 200 grams is when wearing it for long periods of time, such as 8 to 12 hours per day, it feels too heavy to be comfortable on the wrist. So I would say to you, you may want to change this to either a NATO strap or a rubber strap in order to reduce the heft from 211 grams down to circa 150 grams, which will enhance the comfort when wearing the piece for long periods of time. Now, the other consideration is it is 15 millimeters thick, including the dome sapphire crystal. As you can see, it's a very tall piece and it does sit very proud on the wrist. So to be honest, it's not going to easily slip underneath a shirt cuff if you wear business shirts. So as a daily wear piece, it is impractical for that reason. Really, I regard 13 millimeters to be the sweet spot with regards to thickness of watches. 15 millimeters is too tall to slip underneath shirt cuffs, and that's something to bear in mind. So large piece, heavy piece, and also top heavy and very tall on wrist. But if you're going to wear it as a recreational piece rather than a daily wear piece, and you're not worried about it fitting underneath shirt cuffs, then yes, it is a good looking piece to wear. I think it would be enhanced taking it off the bracelet and putting it on a rubber strap, but that's my own personal taste. Of course, it's subjective. So good looking piece, and it does an excellent job of being an homage to the Seiko Tuna. The ceramic bezel insert in the blue sunburst style look very nice. Now, there are several colour options. They do also make black dial versions, black bezel options, and also they do sell the watch on the rubber strap, so that is a consideration if you're concerned about the 211 grams of heft from the bracelet version. So let's look at the clasp. 2-button push flip lock clasp, and signed as I've discussed. Now the negative is the 3 micro adjustment holes, which I've detailed. The execution is good in terms of its action. Good positive 2-button push triggers, nice positive click to the flip lock, and recess for the thumbnail or fingernail. Solid milled stainless steel interior to the 316L grade stainless steel, brush satin finish to the top side, underside and flanks. So it is finished to a good standard, and although it lacks micro adjustment and it doesn't have a dives extension link, which is another negative, it does suffice in doing the job. So let's do a lume test and we'll see how the lume performs when it's charged up to its absolute maximum. So as always, I'm going to use my 100 UV LED torch to charge it up to its absolute peak. Right, so that's now fully charged and it is okay. Now, I'm not going to say it's impressive because this is clearly C3 Luminova rather than being C3 Super Luminova. There is room for improvement. I would like to see Pagani Design upgrade the quality of the lume used to C3 Super Luminova. Of course, that will inevitably result in increased production costs and that will therefore result in increased retail costs. But however, I think that collectors would be willing to pay more money to get C3 Super Luminova performance. It's glowing okay in terms of its brightness and its length of time glowing, but I think there is room for improvement. Now, there is a disappointment. If you look at the ceramic bezel insert, the triangle on the bezel insert isn't lumed. Now, that is something I would like to see. I either like to see a lumed pip on the bezel insert or alternatively a lumed triangle with regards to ceramic bezel inserts. So the lack of a lume pip on a watch which is supposedly 300 meters water resistant, it has to have a lume pip or lume triangle on the ceramic bezel insert to be taken seriously as a dive piece. So that is a disappointment and it's something I want you to consider. So I would describe the lume performance as being okay, but the lack of the lume pip or lume's triangle on the ceramic bezel insert is a disappointment. In daylight it does look good. It does look nice with the Arabic numerals and the minute ticks as per the Seiko Tuna, which is this is an homage to, but really it does need to have a lume pip or a lume's triangle to improve the ceramic bezel insert and to make it credible. So lastly, I'll summarise the piece. What do I think of it overall? Well, when I'm considering reviewing a watch on my channel, the watch should meet 2 criteria. It should be both excellent quality and excellent value at the respective price points. So lastly, I'm just going to talk about the movement because that is a consideration with regards to the price point, €141, which will be discounted in the sale as I've discussed. It uses the Seiko NH35A automatic which has 24 joules. It runs at 21,600 vibrations per hour and a frequency of 3 Hz. It has hand winding and hacking, which is used for complications. 40-hour power reserve is perfectly acceptable, and a stated accuracy of -20 to +40 seconds per day. This one has been regulated to +12 seconds per day, which is well within the limits of -20 to +40, and again perfectly acceptable at this price point. So overall, it's a difficult piece to weigh up because there are some shortcomings. The bezel backplay is a negative, the lack of AR coating is a negative, and also the Lume performance, which is C3 Luminova, I would describe that as being okay, but it's not outstanding performance. However, one has to expect some cost-cutting measures at this price point. It's €141, and yes, it does do a good job of being an homage to the Seiko tuner, and it's significantly less expensive than the Seiko tuner, of course, so that is a consideration. But I think there is room for improvement. I would like to see Pagani Design address those issues, such as adding a lume pip or lumed triangle on the ceramic bezel insert, and most importantly, I would like to see them improve the bezel action, reducing the backplay. But overall, it is a good watch. It is good value and it is good quality for €141. And bear in mind, in the sale between the 23rd and the 27th of August, that price will be significantly reduced. I really think the rubber strap option would be better in terms of an option for the majority of collectors. Yes, the bracelet is nicely finished, as you can see, nice luster to the 316L grade stainless steel, and we've got mirror polishing to the flanks, so the finishing is good. Now, although it does look like 3 links in the bracelet, they're actually 1 link made to look like 3, so it is a good solid bracelet. But really, I would prefer to see screw pins rather than push pins, which are a cost-cutting measure. However, this is subjective. One could argue this is an homage to the Seiko tuner, and that uses push pins as well, so it is a good homage to it. In that sense, it copies the Seiko tuner bracelet very well. So I'm going to recommend it to you for your consideration, but do bear in mind the shortcomings, the bezel backplay, the weak lume, and of course the use of push pins in the bracelet and the lack of micro adjustment with only 3 holes. The other consideration, of course, is that it uses push pins rather than screw pins, and it is an incredibly heavy piece at 211 grams, so you may want to purchase the rubber strap version. So I hope you've liked my review of the Pagani Design PD-1695. Please feel free to post your own comments below the video. Thank you very much.